What's up, everybody? A Sparrow with a Gun here from Sleepless Nights with another episode on Medieval Engineers. Oops. There we go. So, as you may have noticed, I'm actually in creative mode in this episode. I also loaded the world back to where it was before we left, or at least I think. Yeah, I think this is right before I left. In my last episode and tried to drive this cart, which had mixed results. So I wanted to jump into creative this time to mess about with some of the cart design stuff again and see if we can't come up with a better alternative, because certain things about this one just don't seem to be working. Now, I did have a few comments. A couple of them were long enough. I'm going to try and kind of bullet point the overall point of view rather than actually go through them verbatim. But the first one was from Zoid Industries saying try pulling. Have you tried pulling the cart with a rope rather than pushing it? And the truth is no. But I'm not really sure if it would work any better or not. And I say that because I think the fault lies with the overall speed and force and weight and mass and all those physics words that the cart has going on, not so much how the force is being applied. For example, there's only so much that the character with rope pulling it can do before the rope breaks or something to that effect. So I don't think it would matter unless the game just doesn't calculate it the same way. Another one was from Will Turvey, which it kind of makes sense, but it's kind of like we're past that point where the best way to do it is to find where you're going to set up shop and then build stuff rather than try to move things. Yes, this is true. But it doesn't really change the situation we're in terms of all of our stuff is here and we want to go over there. That's part of why I loaded in the world that we've been using, but decided to switch it to creative, is this gives us a real world test where I can really apply to where I have to go and see if it'll actually work or not. The other comments, though, were from Photoloss and ENRM, which have been very helpful, if nothing else but thorough in their comments and things. That the gist of their conversation with me back and forth was that I totally did not quite get what they were talking about in the last episode's design works, particularly with this axle thing. That was me in my noggin. I read it needed an axle to lower the wheels, and I thought car axle, where you've got a bar going all the way across. But apparently this does not actually apply too much in the game physics to where this makes it... Both of them were surprised it actually worked as well as it did, for example, because the idea was actually just to snap wheels lower with very minimum horizontal support. And I was like, oh, I need an axle. Okay, I'll build an axle. Well, so that's a thing. But... the other thing is that I got comments from various different people, including all the names that I mentioned before, that the game does factor in weight, and I believe there was also a couple that mentioned it does factor in where the weight is on the cart, which is probably why this wheel over here kept popping up when I would be on uneven terrain, because all the weight's pushing down in this corner the way it's set up now, which, again, my bad. No, I mean, you can clearly tell I excelled at physics in school. I mean, I'm still not entirely sure how I passed that class when I had it in college, but somehow I did enough that they thought I knew what I was talking about. So, you know. But yeah, so this episode is going to focus mainly on spitballing, prototyping, and trying to come up with some different various designs. Particularly, I want a car. That's what I want. I want to build a car. Meh. I know none of you can see me, but I'm waving my hands around with that, I want a car. Because I like the idea of having a mechanism that applies the same amount of pressure and stuff like that, rather than It was also brought up, I believe it was ENRM that mentioned the reason I couldn't get up the hill was I was running out of stamina, and every time I stopped to recharge it, the lack of forward momentum going up the hill was enough that it had time to counter, and now the weight was pushing back and it rolled back down the hill. So I would like something that doesn't rely on my character pushing the cart, but is relying on a mechanism. That's really why I wanted to do like a car design type thing over a cart, is because then it never tires out. It's always going to have the same amount. Now, whether or not that's enough force to apply, I don't know. That will be something we'll just have to play around with. I actually downloaded a couple of blueprints off the workshop. One was actually for more of a tram, like a cable car type system, which would be much more resource intensive than building a cart or even a car, because of the distance we would have to go. We have to go all the way over there. So building a cable rail system to get it all to the to quote the infamous meme, ain't nobody got time for that. So I want to try the car thing first, and I actually did find kind of a proof of concept type thing that it can be done with using various different mechanisms. So I'm going to paste that in and kind of reverse engineer it a little bit and play around with that and see what we come up with. So I will be back momentarily. Okay, so I've been playing around with this and I'm more confused than I was when I started. So I pasted in an extra copy of my cart. I also pasted in this one from the workshop, which, if anyone is curious, is this one, the Car V2, or version 2.0. It's a modless version, but it does seem to be from an older version of the game, which may have something to do with it, but it was an interesting concept. Okay, so essentially what they did was used, kind of like I did, only the wrong way. They used the rounded timber and follow-through type of whatever these are called, catch blocks. The extended, or it's possible that they use the just the catch block. I'm not really sure yet. But anyways, they used the round timber to make an axle, and then connected that up to a turn crank up here. And what this allows you to do is actually turn the vehicle. Now again, I've had mixed results with this. As you can see, it'll move really slow, and then it'll kind of like snap. Wait for it. Eventually. Maybe. Maybe it'll make a liar out of me now. But this particular model, I don't know if it's because I pasted it in from a previous build of the game, and then it was like, hey, this was on a different version, it might not work. The concept seems to work. I mean, you're basically turning the front axle to turn the vehicle. That makes sense to me. It does have one of these attached. Maybe you have to have both of them attached. In the screenshots, it only had one. Maybe you need both of them attached. I don't know. Let's try it that way and see if that gives any better results. Not really. It's making... Some of you might not be able to hear it, but it is making the sound effect like you're cranking the thing, but it's just not going anywhere. There it's kind of moving a little bit, but it's still not moving the way that it should. So I'm not really 100% sure on why that's working the way that it is. And also, they did the same kind of thing, I think. I haven't actually gotten in here. Actually, I wonder, can I use spectator mode? Let's get under here and see. Okay, they do have an axle going all the way through. I wasn't sure about that part. And these are set on locking catch blocks, so that you can basically set up a brake system or a parking brake. And then there's a crank set up on this side, and it's supposed to, when you turn this, it makes the wheels turn, yada yada yada. But as you can see, once again, it's like they're not really going anywhere. Now, just as a proof of concept thing, I went over here and set up a wheel kind of in the same way. And you can see this one turns, so I'm starting to wonder if it might just be because this was pasted in and from a different version of the game. There's also a couple of these chests on the back here for storage. So I don't know if I'm going to do it quite the same way as this complex as it is. This is kind of a cool concept type thing, but it might be a little bit more advanced for what we really... I really just need these mechanisms. I don't really need it to be this design. So with that in mind, I pasted this one over here, and we're going to try and replicate that is what I'm thinking. Or that kind of motion. So, yeah, I had been messing around with this, trying to figure out why this didn't work, to see if the concept had been broken from patches or something. But this seems to make it look like everything's still working. In fact, one thing I want to try... can I do that to where it's kind of mounted? That might not work. Hold on. That may not work either. I'm trying to get this to where it's got something attached and I'm not going to lose that. Oh. Oh. Whoops. Alright, well that didn't work out. Here's a fun idea. That went horribly wrong. Okay, so after a horrible fiasco with the testing thing, I tried to essentially take this guy and mount it back down so I could take the wheels off, and the thing just exploded. It was kind of funny, actually. So I decided to basically just start over, and I'm doing the dimensions all from scratch, basically. I'm just going to kind of literally start over. Actually, one thing I wanted to check is when you're in creative mode... Oh, you can build from spectator mode. We're just going to do that. Screw using our character wherever he went. Oh, I'm invisible again. Yay, because that's a fun glitch that is really still there. So I ended up doing 10 by 10. So I figured that would give me about this kind of dimension. Because 2 of the chests side by side are 8. So that gives me a little bit to work with. And then 10 just gives me a few spaces to work with. And so at this point, we'll probably start building the front kind of area, which it looks like there was about a space in between there. I really like spectator camera. It's very fun. Okay. I think I've got an idea of how this is going to end up working. The other thing we can do is from here. Should I keep it... Should I keep the axles kind of on... How did they do it? So we have a 1 block difference here, so I could do something like that. Maybe. But should I put it on the very back? Probably. What is this, 1 block away from the back, it looks like? Yeah. Let's try and mirror that, because that seemed to be a pretty decent idea here. So we'll do... Let's just do a row of 3 here, so we can take out... Oh, we're going to need more than that, actually. Let's do a row of 4. And that way, we can put a catch block here. Let's do... the extended, if I can get you to attach. Okay, so we do 1 there, put 1 there. And then, I don't think I'll need, what do the rotors actually do? Actually, I don't think I'm going to use rotors because I don't think they actually have them anymore in the survival setup. And I don't want to use anything I can't build in the survival one, so... We'll do like this. Okay, so that links up that, which is good. Snap a wheel on there, and snap a wheel on there. And that should... Again, this looks pretty high up off the ground as far as it's not too crazy. We could use a catch block, but frankly... I'm not sure if that's part of the culprit of why that's not working correctly, so we're not going to do that. Let's see. What else will we need to do? We need to build this area. So this goes up to... Okay. So it looks like it's a 4 block. Yep. By about 5. That should be a good enough. And where does it start? Right on the edge? Right on the edge. Okay. So let's do... I don't like that when in spectator mode you can use these to rotate, but then you can't rotate yourself, which is kind of irritating. Alright, so instead of 4, would 6 be more symmetrical? Actually, I don't think it's going to matter, because it should be 2 5s. Yeah, so it's really not going to matter. One way or another, it won't be symmetrical, so that's kind of going to bug me, but I don't really care enough to change it. I don't know, maybe that might actually affect the physics of it, now that I think about it. And is that gonna be the same height? I think it is. I think it's the same height as the wheels if you do it this way. Alright, so we're gonna go... Let's see... Up 3. Okay, so let's do 1 here. 1, 2, 3, 4. And that should give us 3 on this side. Oh, wait, hold on. How'd that happen? That's weird. I thought I had just done the math that it wouldn't be centered, but that actually looks centered, so whatever. Do we fill all that in? Is that all? Okay, it's 2 off of that. So I have this a little high, it looks like. Okay, there we go. And then that is the height for the... Okay, so that's the height for the catch block, which we're gonna put right here. Is that right? I think there's a block in between there. Yeah, there's a block in between there. Okay. So let's get rid of that. Put a block there. Then we'll put a catch block there. And I don't know if it's extra support or not, and since I don't really know the design, we're going to go ahead and put that there too, because that's kind of how they had it right here. And then it's just slap a crank handle on top of this, like so. And then attach a beam that way. It looks like it's supposed to be the same width and everything. Well, actually, let's try and line this back up a little bit. I could just count it off. That would probably be easier. So 1, 2, 3 on each side. And this overall is 8. So it's 3 on each side is 6, so it's 7, so it's 1 block less, apparently. And again, you wouldn't have to do everything like crazy exact like this. I just am trying to replicate it as best that I can. And as far as the style design stuff, you can do that all day long, I suppose. Okay, so let's do hello? There we go. Let's do one like this, and then we'll do... So in my case, it would be 4. And And that should give us 8. I think. Okay. And then catch block in between with the wheels. And I may leave out the, and that does keep us on the same height, it looks like. Cool. I may leave out the rope latches just because I don't really know if they're actually doing anything. At least in this version of our cart thing. And I'm really only rebuilding it in this way for 2 reasons. One, it lets me kind of add my own style, I suppose, if you wanted to call it that, to it. But the bigger thing is that I'm not sure if pasting this in from an older version is what's having the effect on it and why this won't actually seemingly work correctly. Can I actually do a 9? No, it's wanting to snap to the middle piece. Okay. So I could do a 1 and then do an 8. That works. Okay, so let's do this a bit minute at a time here. Okay, so we turn there, and then if we hit Shift and F, we can turn that way. So I'm not really 100% sure why the rope latch thing was needed. Unless that was to keep it from turning when you didn't want it to turn. Actually, now that I think about it, now that this is all built, what I should have done is built this out of a locking latch, and then you could lock it and it would always stay straight. It wouldn't turn. I don't know if I can undo that at this point. Actually, let me do that. Let me go through and fix that. Okay, so now I actually know why they didn't do that, is because it doesn't do anything. I really have no idea what this is for, so watch this. It's not set, so we can still turn it either way without a problem, right? So we'll toggle it, and it still just goes both ways without a problem. Probably why it wasn't done that way in the first place is because it doesn't actually do anything. So, with that in mind, we're gonna kind of just leave it, I guess, because, I mean, why not? It's already done, basically. Okay, so this then comes off of that block. I might have to change this around a little bit, but I don't think I will too much. So this comes off of the upper block there, which I'll have to put back. And then this goes up, and then that wheel goes over to that one. I think that shouldn't be too much of a problem. Now, the one thing I will say is all of these are facing the same direction, and that one that I did over here, I had them all alternating. I don't know if that actually makes a difference or not, but I think I'm going to alternate them anyway, because I had it like so. And I don't know if it actually makes a difference or not, but I think I'm just going to go with that because I know that seemed to work for me. So we'll put this back here. And by the way, I had taken this off because now, for some stupid reason, you cannot adjust the lock on that block. It doesn't do anything. And what I mean by that is, at this point now, I can no longer highlight that to toggle it from, like, virtually any direction I've tried. It just doesn't work. So that's why I had removed those, but then I saw that this is actually having them come off of that edge. So I kind of needed them to be there. Alright. So with that, we'll do... How far away is this? 2? 3? Looks like 3. 3. Okay, and I'm really only replicating, or I really only want to replicate the control mechanism for this. I don't really feel the need to replicate the entire cart structure thing. It was mainly just the drive mechanic. Actually, I might need to go further, since it's supposed to be out kind of in line with the axis. I don't know if that does anything or not, but it might. And I have built this cart a little bit bigger. So let's go with that route. And then we'll bring that back in by 2. We'll set the extended one like so, and then we should be able to put a crank wheel right there. And then we should simply be able to put a plus system. And again, like I said, I'm going to rotate these. I don't know if it matters or not. I'm just going to do it that way anyway. And let's see if we can't get this a bit more properly aligned. There we go. That's pretty good. Hello? Oh, can you not do rope from the spectator? I might not be able to do rope from that. So that goes there. That goes there. And with that, we should actually have a functioning system. I think. Okay, so now this one turns. Now it is actually backwards, it looks like. Where I have to hold Shift and F in order for it to turn forward. Not really sure why, but I'm sure there's some person that can explain to me how I set up the mechanic thing to where it spins backwards, but whatever. So, again, with that, we should have a functioning cart. Now, I did just save it. So, if I disconnect this, I'm going to put that... I'm going to put it like in front like this. And at this point, we no longer need this guy, because it kind of explained to us the mechanics I was looking for. Okay. Yep. Down. Why this is still considered part of the terrain, I have no idea. Okay. So, yeah, this is new. Is there like an invisible stake somewhere that I'm missing? Okay, this is just weird. And I might put the rope, the rope eyes down here. Again, the one that we had been comparing to just a second ago had only one of these connected in the screenshots, but from what I can tell... Oh, okay, so now that this one's properly working, that does actually lock it. So you can't turn it with a wheel that way. Now, one thing I wonder is, I don't know what these release blocks do. So I want to test this a second. In that, if I attach this to that, hold RMB to detach. I'm assuming this is some kind of lever, right? Configured. Change these settings for the rope release. Really? Oh, okay. Pick up this object. So it doesn't... Hold R and B or... Weird. So that must be for catapults, I'm guessing, but I don't really know... I don't really know what that's for. I was hoping I could do, like, put a release back here and then I could just kind of toggle on and off whether or not I wanted that connected. What I don't get is why this won't drop, why it's considered part of the terrain still. So what I'm going to do is just try and copy it. I guess. And let's see if the Space Engineer's controls works the same. No, it does not. Okay. Alright, so that should be okay. There we go. None of the ropes connected, though, unfortunately. So I gotta do this all over again. Nope. Okay. So you go there. You go there. You go there. And you go there. Okay. Now, let's go ahead and attach one of these, I suppose, and see if this actually works. Alright. Well, that's promising. It doesn't look like our front wheels have turned all that much. The nice thing about this, though, this setup, is that the, it kind of functions as an auto brake kind of thing. Sort of. Oh! Okay, so I need a better spot for me, I guess. Is this... Okay, that's not turning... That's not turning it much at all. And I'm guessing it's because of this. There you go. See, that's the weird part, is it works up on the other one that's floating, but now this one won't work. Like, it won't turn at all. And I don't understand why, because it worked before, but as soon as you put, like, tension on it, I guess, now it just doesn't want to do anything. And I'm gonna go ahead and build myself a little bit of a piloting area. We probably don't need that much. I just need one here. And then let's put like this, and that'll be kind of more of like our driving seat, apparently. Okay, that's annoying. I might have to take out the turning axle or something. I'm not really sure. But see, this is the part that I don't understand about the mechanical engineers, medieval engineers' mechanisms, is that on one minute they work, and then for seemingly no explainable reason they just don't anymore. And I wish there was a bit more rhyme or reason to why it works one way, and then as soon as you just hit the ground, now it just doesn't work at all, kind of thing. Like, this one works. The wheel here, if it stops trying to pick it up. Okay, now what? Gosh, I cannot get any carts to function. This game is just determined to make sure none of my cart ideas work. Even other people's ideas, because this isn't even mine. And it just doesn't want to work. I don't understand why. I may have to do a cable car. It seems to be the only functional way to do a cart in this game at this point. I'm just going to go ahead and delete you. And let's just give this a go. I don't even care where we end up. I just want to see how this works. Preferably without trying to pick up the crank every 5 seconds. Okay, so this is actually working. I'm not a fan of the front wheel system because it keeps kind of not working. And I have a sinking suspicion that this actually won't work for what I wanted it to do, of actually climbing up a hill. I have this feeling that it's just not going to work for that. So, yeah, I'm still trying to figure out how to get all my stuff up here, and at this point, I'm really close to just carrying it all up there by hand and just being done with it, because I wanted to try and do it in-game and be creative and do something cool where, you know, you need this and do it the old school way of you need a cart to get all your stuff up there, but frankly, this is just becoming more trouble than it's worth. So, let me know what you guys think in the comments about all this crap. In the meantime, we're going to wrap things up here. I hope y'all enjoyed. If you did, leave a like, and I'll see y'all next time. Peace.